entered your destination.
Welcome back to Destination Pro Wrestling. My name is Tony. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Tango with Tango. On the verge of hitting 25,000 subscribers. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for supporting the show. We did launch a rewards program. If you guys aren't aware of it, it's $4.99 a month. All you got to do is click the join button down below. And with that, you guys get rewards and perks for being a supporter of the channel. And I want to know what additional perks you guys want to see. So as always, leave a comment down below and let me know your guys' feedback. But with that being said, I want to talk about something that's on everybody's mind, and that's whether or not AEW has a working relationship with New Japan. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, New Japan had recently announced that Chris Jericho is challenging for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and this will be taking place very, very soon against Okada. And now everybody on social media, as you can imagine, is really considering, they're trying to consider all the facts here and whether or not AEW has some sort of deal with this company. Now, as you can tell, we haven't had any confirmation from AEW or New Japan on whether there's a working relationship. But the reason why this is so important is because we have to go back to when Chris Jericho originally announced that he was signing to AEW. And one of the benefits that he actually had mentioned when it came to signing to AEW was the fact that he would have a little bit more freedom outside of AEW. So being able to pursue other avenues, obviously in this case, New Japan and the Chris Jericho cruise. But now it's officially confirmed Chris Jericho is headed to New Japan, and there is an opportunity for an AEW superstar who might be one of the biggest stars on the roster. Compared, you guys got to debate that yourself, whether you think it's Kenny, Cody, Jericho, whatever. That's on you guys. But he's arguably one of the biggest stars on the roster, clearly. And there is an opportunity for an AEW top star to compete for one of the most prestigious championship belts in professional wrestling, all of professional wrestling. Now, with that being said, we have to kind of take a look at what's happening here, and it really starts with the relationship from New Japan and Ring of Honor. Now, this was a relationship that a lot of people questioned immediately because New Japan obviously is a very, very large company, and Ring of Honor has always been considered like the number 3 promotion in North America. Now, I have to be honest here. When I heard of this relationship being built, and they have these events going on together, and they're doing a lot of things together. I thought deep down inside, New Japan really doesn't gain much from Ring of Honor's exposure, other than the fact that they get to, get a little bit more familiar with the United States audience. And I think for Ring of Honor, what it really showed was, hey, we lost a big side of our roster to WWE or Impact, so now they have to have some newer stars come into their promotion. So in a way, I looked at it as it would be beneficial for both companies. Obviously, Ring of Honor probably would benefit a little bit more. But as you can tell lately, after the G1 Supercard, a lot of people have been talking about this relationship between the two companies. And a lot of people out there actually believe that the relationship hasn't gotten any better, mostly due to the Cass and Enzo stuff. And if you guys don't know what I'm alluding to, Enzo and Big Cass came out to the G1 Supercard, basically ran from the crowd and went into the, right beside the ring. They started attacking some of the guys from Ring of Honor and New Japan. And because of this, a lot of people actually didn't see it live on the stream because it wasn't actually televised. Now, reports had come out about this, that this was basically a planned, worked shoot, whatever you want to call it. This was all planned from Ring of Honor's side, and none of the executives from New Japan knew that this was happening. And the idea was to see what would happen, what would the feedback be if these two guys actually did show up. Now, of course, this led to a lot of social media back and forth between Enzo and Tama Tonga. Big Cass got on there too with a really, really good promo, actually. And then, of course, the Briscoes coming out and speaking about this. So very, very big stuff happened here, but it wasn't on stream. A lot of people voiced their displeasure with this angle, and a lot of people weren't sure if it was real, if it was fake. But then obviously Ring of Honor had come out and said, no, it's part of the show, whatever. But obviously I could kind of understand why New Japan officials would not be happy with this, because ultimately they're not in the know with something that's going on in their show. And as part of a working relationship, you guys have to understand there's a lot of things that go into this, and you have to benefit both companies, and you should be communicating to both companies, and you should be working, both companies should be doing things together. And because of this, it seemed like Ring of Honor had rubbed NJPW the wrong way. Now, we don't know about the status of their working relationship. We haven't heard anything. And honestly, I don't want to speculate too much on that because, a lot of people are quick to say that New Japan and Ring of Honor are done and New Japan wants to pursue a agreement with AEW. But here as a wrestling fan, and I'm speaking to you guys as a wrestling fan, I think that the more companies work together, the better it is and the healthier it is for the pro wrestling industry. And in this case, for AEW, having the ability to work with New Japan and Ring of Honor would be very, very special for their company. So do I think there is a working relationship between AEW and New Japan? Honestly, I don't. I think Chris Jericho made it very clear he was going to do other stuff than just AEW. And I think this is one of those agreements that he has within the company to go there. Now, if you are New Japan Pro Wrestling and you are trying to make a big splash in the world of wrestling in the United States, where it's obviously a big market, then honestly, I don't know if this is going to happen, but I would give the belt to Chris Jericho. And the reason for that, obviously having the IWGP Heavyweight Championship shown on AEW pay-per-views and television, having that exposure is going to be massive for AEW. Now, of course, we don't know if this is actually going to happen, and we don't know if Chris Jericho is actually, planned to win, but having that big match for New Japan, it's a big deal for them as a company, and they definitely benefit from having a guy like, Chris Jericho show up and actually compete for their world title. Now, again, this is the most prestigious belt, so AEW benefits big time by having a relationship with New Japan for one major reason, and that is because of their roster. AEW's roster is very, very thin, and this is a agreement that you can have between two companies where AEW has to pay very little, if anything, for the stars of New Japan. And of course, New Japan gets to be exposed to the United States market, which I assume AEW will do way better than Impact and Ring of Honor. So I'm very intrigued to see what actually happens here. I do think this is a win-win situation, regardless if there is a technical working relationship. Again, I don't think there is, but regardless if there is a technical relationship between them, whether it's on contract, whether it's on paper, this is a huge win for both companies. Even if Chris Jericho loses the belt, even if he loses the belt at all, okay, it doesn't matter. Even if he gets squashed, people will talk about it. People will talk about it. And I think this is going to be one of those amazing matches that a lot of people will be talking about for many, many years to come. One of the things that New Japan did so special was bringing in Chris Jericho and putting him with Kenny Omega. Like, that feud was huge, especially for a guy like Chris Jericho, who was also part of WWE technically. It was a very, very interesting situation, being under the WWE umbrella, but also going to New Japan, also having, a really, really big match, a key marquee match against Kenny Omega, who, many people say is the best in the world. It was a very, very big thing. And honestly, I would say even WWE saw a little bit of a benefit from that. So the idea that companies working together is important to me. Whether AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor work together, whether New Japan and Ring of Honor work together, it doesn't really matter here. Just by affiliation, by being the companies that are opposed to WWE, the companies that are competitors to WWE, right now in the stage of the wrestling business, this is the best time to be your company, especially with WWE ratings being down. A lot of people are becoming critical of WWE. They say competition is needed. I can see AEW, New Japan, and Ring of Honor working together. But of course, after all the shenanigans that happened at the G1 Supercard, a lot of people pointed the fingers at Ring of Honor. I don't know if this is something that truly benefits, or not necessarily truly benefits, but I don't know if this is something that could seriously work out. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and we don't know exactly how they would fit. It might be a little too chaotic. Obviously egos get in the way and stuff like that. So it's really interesting altogether. The fact that an AEW superstar is booked for a IWGP championship match. And I think that it's odd because, again, we don't know if there is a relationship. But if you are AEW, I don't think you need the relationship, but you definitely want that relationship. And if you can provide a guy like Chris Jericho to New Japan, obviously there is a lot of things that could be coming forward. Now, we are a long way to go until AEW is on TV. We got several months. So because of that, we don't really know what's going to happen after this. This might be a one-time thing, but Chris Jericho is slated to compete for the IWGP Championship. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section down below. Again, guys, my name is Tony from Destination Pro Wrestling. Lots of cool things here on the channel. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and as always, slap that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.
You have arrived at your destination.